Hello and a wonderful day. You beautiful people still waiting for Planet Zoo beta and dying about it as I am, and therefore I am really urging for some new content. But then, yesterday evening, I stumbled across something that just seemed like something that isn't too interesting, but apparently it is, because I stumbled across something in the latest two screenshots they showed on Twitter, actually this week. There was something missing in one of those screenshots in comparison to the other one, and I'm just quickly zooming in, and you can see in the top, the bottom right part, there is something missing next to the weather effect icon, because as we switch to the next one, which is just over here, you can see, boom, there is a little camera icon. What is that? So I remember playing the game at Gamescom, there was this camera icon too, and it was in both parks, the streaming park and also the behind closed door recording one, which I pressed, but it doesn't happen anything. Or I remember there was nothing happening, and I was just told, yeah, it's just to see the animals. They just kind of went over it really quick too, and I completely didn't ask again. I completely forgot. But then I was like sitting down here and talking to Silverite and Operator yesterday evening. Maybe because there's a new episode of Stalova just around the corner. Stay tuned for this on this weekend. Advertisement end. Bye. About potentially making videos of it. Now we're like, you know what would be pretty cool with like a cinematic camera or something like that, and maybe this is even something. So remember, in Planet Coaster, and here's some footage I got for you, in Planet Coaster we had the struggle as well. We didn't know how to film exactly. Like, yes, we had the potential to disable the UI, but yet, you know, very nice and easy filming was not that easy because the camera was always a little bit jiggery and it was hard to do. So we ended up doing something like this. You can see back then I set up a little flat ride, and I used the movement of the flat ride to basically film. So you will see in a few seconds that this car starts moving, and later on I just filmed the whole process of the car moving, and I just zoomed in as much as I could so you can't see the car, and so kind of it created a lovely little camera panning effect. As you can see, I was rotating the car. However, while I show you what the end result of a movement like this is, you can't do this in Planet Zoo without having flat rides, you know, and therefore it's very important to think about the potential that is in the engine. And you may do remember, but we got something lately in Jurassic World Evolution that was called the capture mode. And for me now, the little puzzle pieces, they fall together, because as we can see now, in Jurassic World Evolution, there is this dedicated capture mode, and a bit after I completely misclicked at the beginning, we went into the menu and there is the capture mode. So as we enter the capture mode, there are some options that are pretty cool and even improve over the experience we had in Planet Coaster. So in Planet Coaster, yes, we could disable the UI, but we didn't have too much control over the speed of the game, for example, or the filters. Later on, we also got filters, but it's not all in one place, you know. Here, it's really cool. You have the slow-mo effect, you have normal speed, you have the pause effect for making cool screenshots. You can move the camera just freely around. You know, it's not tagged to anything. It's not the Tagit Cam cheat, or it's not actually bound to a ride, or it's not down to a person walking around. It's a completely free moving camera. As you can see now in slow motion, I can also disable the HUD. I can zoom in to have this lovely little nearly photographer effect, filming effect. Again, you could also easily now activate some of the filters. You can tilt and rotate the camera, which was also not possible in Planet Coaster at all. And we got this control not only on the mouse and keyboard, we also can do it with the controller, which is not down to the fact that it is for consoles as well. It might help in this case, but I remember that we also got controller option in Planet Coaster as well. So you can use this also in the PC version of the Cobra engine, dedicated for making a management game like Planet Coaster, which is part of the Planet franchise. So it's not very unlikely that we are going to see something like that. So maybe this lovely little camera icon that is somehow sneakily deleted out of one of the screenshots, might be an earlier screenshot, who knows, but then later on added into the game again, or whatever, added in the future. And there's also one more thing we need to talk about, and this is also the positioning of the camera icon. So we know that the animals themselves themselves have camera icons in their menu. So if you want to look at the animals, actually it makes more sense to click at the animals rather than going via the overall UI and then search for animal. You could just also click on your animal and select the one animal and then just look at this animal. It's pretty straightforward, right? So why would you have a camera icon dedicated in the menu if it's not for making cinematics, for example? And as we remember also, you know, Frontier is also always listening to feedback, or trying at least to listening to most of the feedback. And I think this was one of the biggest things that the community has made. Also, if you are into Planet Coaster and you are really interested in making great cinematics, I would highly recommend also to check out the video by N7. I think it was N7, or was it Masked Bandit? I don't know. I will hopefully remember to search for it and put it in the description down below. They also made a wonderful filming tutorial in Planet Coaster, how you use also coasters to get some other different effects, and not only robo arm I used. They had some very nice things as well. But back to Planet Zoo, there is definitely the question is allowed why we would love to have like a cinematic camera, because obviously for like the casual player it would potentially be enough to be able to disable the UI and take some wonderful screenshots. But without having actually control over the camera movement, you know, thanks to a ride or flat ride or like a coaster, it is pretty hard to create very nice flowing camera movements, which you would like to have as a, you know, content creator, because it's also lovely to show you the progress of a building as in cinematics. That's what people like. I remember that people were complaining years that I didn't include cinematics at the end of my videos. You know, one of the main reasons I kept telling them was because it's a pain in the ass. It kind of is a pain in the ass to make cinematics in Planet Coaster that they really look nice, because you always need to put down a coaster, make the camera tilt and whatnot very nice and stuff like that. And the one thing that gives me a lot of hope is the opening scene of the scenario 1, the scenario mode in Planet Zoo. And just for the sake of showing you, I'm just including the footage over here, and you can clearly see that the camera is moving towards an area in a very, very predefined path. And the reason why I'm really showing this to you is because it's not only moving in a predefined path, no, you still have control over mouse and keyboard, as you can see, and the overlay works, which means this is in the running game. And here's me now talking about the options that a cinematic camera offers, and therefore we need to go to some different games that do have cinematics as well, and cinematic cameras, and most likely done by mods. So there are two variants most of the people will know. The first one is in City Skylines. The cinematic camera by now is a default in the game. It has been brought into the game by some mods early on, but as you know, Paradox used to do with City Skylines, they also implemented a lot of great mods into the base game by updates later on, so it is now part of the actual game. But this cinematic camera is pretty cool, because you can not only define the camera position, you can actually define different points in the 3D environment, and then the camera actually search the path between those 2 points. So given you have a building and you look at the building from one side and then you go to the other side and say, okay, that's the second point, the camera automatically just moves around the building and rotates the camera. And if you want to make this a bit more of a controlled path, you just add more points to make sure that the path is a bit nicer, a bit more tidy, but it actually creates like the movement in between. It's almost like in a 3D rigging environment where you have different keyframes, and the program actually, you know, it creates automatically the movement between those 2 keyframes, which I think would be the one thing that would be absolutely freaking insane in Planet Zoo, because this could be like, you could actually make camera movements just going around your animals in slow motion. You have like a 360 around your animal with these lovely animations. It would actually just highlight the wonderful stuff they created in the game already, and giving us as you know, content creators even more of a wonderful tool to highlight their beautiful game. It would be insane. Okay, but you know, this, let alone, that would be already crazy. Like, you know, just to bring it down to a point, I would be already pretty happy with the capture mode of Jurassic World Evolution, just with some additions that we potentially have a bit more control over making like a path. But let alone the capture mode would already be amazing for us as content creators, with the control of maybe a slow-mo version, maybe even 2 kind of variants of slow-mo, like super slow-mo and slow-mo potentially, but anyways, it would be fine to have slow-mo as well, and then also paired with weather effects. God, that's so tasty. And you know, the second thing is, and then we have to look into Minecraft. Actually, there are some mods that allow you to film your whole process. So basically what you do, you predefine a camera position, and this camera position basically records from this position the whole time you're moving in this 3D environment. So that would be, for making the time lapses of buildings, that would be, I can't even say, I don't have any words for it. If they do this, I'm sold. I buy the game 10 times and give away 9 of them. I'm just kidding, but this is how great this would be. Like, I don't really think it would be. I think Sylph or Proton, I just agreed that we don't believe this would be going that far, but maybe giving a little bit of a better capture mode would already be pretty damn great. However, let's just round off this video by just going into the last point. Actually, I was trying to make this point like 4 minutes ago, but the positioning of the camera icon in particular is very important, because this camera icon is sitting next to the weather effects. And why is this important? I think it's important to mention that these kind of things, UI-wise, belong to each other, because you can create some cool looks with it, you know. The weather and the time of day control, which is how they call it now, the time of day, is something that you always need for cinematics. You know, you have instant control of the lighting, the weather, and the camera position, because it's next to it. That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. If this would be something completely not bound to this and completely different, why would you put it next to it, right? And I think it's fair to say that this is something more exciting that people potentially would have thought in the beginning. So you can count me very excited about the fact that there is this little dedicated camera icon. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I hope I could show you in this video why I think it's fair to believe that this has something to do with like making really nice looking cinematics. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm still super stoked for the game. I can't wait for having the game. I can't wait to play around with it and hopefully having this wonderful cinematic tool. And then I'm gonna give you some real dope eye candy of all the animals. Until this is happening, I somehow need to find a way to stand the hype in me, which is not easy, but I'm gonna do my best. So, see you in the next one, and let me know down below in the comment section what you think this camera icon is for, and if you know of other examples of cinematic cameras in games, please let me know as well. Maybe even provide me a link. I would love to check them out, and yeah, see you next time. Have a good one, and bye, guys. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you appreciate that, and now a special thanks also to all the people supporting me here on that channel, making this all possible. You can see that on the left hand side right now, and also if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure to click that card on the right top now, and if you want to stick around, make sure to hit that sub button which is on the bottom right of the screen. If you want to see stuff on my social media, sneak peeks and stuff like that, it is on the bottom left on the screen. And yeah, I hope to see you again in the next episode. Until then, enjoy your time, guys, and bye.